What is it about possessions? What is it about our stuff that makes it so precious to us? Do we actually ever really possess it anyway? I mean, at best, what we have is a rental. At very best, that which we caretake gets passed on to our descendants who may or may not have the same, let alone any feelings for something we once held so dear. So they're not really ours, but for a time, we possess them. What is it about this idea of possessions and collecting sports cards that gets so deep inside of me, that expresses who I am, how I wish to be seen, how I wish to be known, how if you looked at my cards, you might get to know me a little bit, at least in this way? What is it about holding the card itself that expresses some kind of connection to a legend, a superhero, an icon? I don't worship the player. I don't worship the card, although I witness and I admit I have been a participant in time and again in some kind of frothy, over-enthusiastic ardor for sports cards. I'm holding in my hands and now showing on the screen 1956 Topps Mickey Mantle PSA 2.5. This is the one and only Mickey Mantle card in my collection. Happens to be my favorite Mickey Mantle, the Triple Crown winning season. Two pictures, of course, the portrait with that beautiful, young, heroic smile. Lips always kind of looked like he had lipstick to me for some reason. Got that great, clean, rectangular box top left, the red and the yellow Mickey Mantle outfield, New York Yankees. And then behind him and below his name and the team, and leaping into the stands in black and white on a beautiful day game to try to make the catch. Now, I believe somebody let me know in the show notes, if you know this is a fact, that it's actually been altered by the artist at Topps, that he did not make the catch on this play. This is my Mickey Mantle card. I don't think I'll have another Mickey Mantle card in my collection. I would like to perhaps upgrade this card to one a little bit better, centered one with a little bit more brightness in the color, but it is mine. I'm very happy with it. Yet I hope I don't worship this card. I hope pursuing and possessing these cards, even as rentals, don't become too central in my identity as a human being. We sure like our stuff, though, don't we? 1956 Topps Mickey Mantle, the grayback, if anybody's wondering. Now, I'm not also looking to go to the other end of the extremes, right? If we live in a materialistic, iconistic society, I don't want to be on the other end of things. I'm not looking to be a part of an iconism society, a society where images are completely prohibited. While not universal, there are definitely strains of Islam that prohibits iconism. Judaism too, but it's predominantly known in Islam. Judaism doesn't allow pictures, of course, of God, any iconography like that, but things like trees, right? Natural things are completely allowed. But in Islam, in some strains, it absolutely is completely prohibited. You'll see art done in Arabic letters. If you go into beautiful mosques all over the world, what you'll see primarily are passages, usually from the Quran, occasionally from the Hadith, in beautiful Arabic calligraphy, just unbelievably gorgeous. But what you won't see for the most part, this is almost entirely in the Sunni branch of Islam, less so in certain Shia categories. What you won't see is you will not see depictions of Muhammad, the prophet. In Islam, Muhammad is the last prophet, the greatest prophet, the bearer of Allah's truth. You will not see images of Allah. In fact, on occasion, people have been punished terribly for images of Muhammad, particularly ones that depict him in a less than flattering light. You might remember this one that I'm bringing up on the screen right now, the French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo 2011 ran an issue promptly was firebombed, a victim of arson. Many clerics, actually more legal scholars in Islam, among them some actually put out a fatwa, a legal prohibition against doing it as a result of this. You also remember 2015, unfortunately, a radical terrorist came into Charlie Hebdo's headquarters and killed 15 people. Icons of Muhammad are strictly prohibited, which might put my life in danger with the card I'm about to show you now. This is a 1924 Ogden's Leaders of Men, a set of 50, including the Prophet Muhammad. 1924 Ogden's Leaders of Men, card number 30 of the Prophet Muhammad. Welcome to the Rated Rabbi Sports Card Podcast, where sports cards and pop culture meet the 1984 All-Star Game. I am your host, Rabbi David Spinrad. Welcome to episode 76. This card could get me killed. I certainly hope it does not, but if there is no episode next week, it very well could have been because of this 1924 Ogden's Leaders of Men card of Muhammad, the Prophet. We're at the commercial break. We have commercials for Gillette Good News disposable blades, Stroh's Fire brewed for great taste, and then a commercial for the 1984 Olympic baseball team and experience. It's a commercial. I'm going to bring it up on the screen. Remember this catchphrase? Baseball fever. Got it. 1984 Olympics just about to get underway in Southern California. And there are 8 teams, of course, U.S. as the host team. It's a demo sport. In 84, all games were played at Dodger Stadium. Japan ultimately wins. They upset the USA in the finals. USA gets the silver. Chinese Taipei finishes third. We talked a little bit way back in episode 13, a berry on top, that this team was loaded. 20-man roster led by USC legend Rod Dito. Of the 18 players on the 20-man Olympic baseball roster, 18 of the 20 were drafted in the first round in either 1984 or 1985. Barry Larkin is the only Hall of Famer. But oh my goodness, this team was loaded. Let me run it down. You might know so many of them already on your own. Will Clark, right? Mark McGuire, who's 85 Topps Olympic card, is definitely one of the most iconic cards of the 1980s. Who else? Top pick overall, catcher, infielder, B.J. Surhoff. Bobby Witt, uncle of Bobby Witt Jr., real successful pitcher, California Angels. Who else? Brother of Tony Gwynn, Chris Gwynn, Scott Bankhead, pitcher, Shane Mack. And then a few guys I want to talk about who don't get a lot of attention, but were actually, they made a name for themselves for a while. The first one is the Golden Spikes winner for Outstanding Collegiate Baseball Player in 1984, Arizona State Sun Devil, Oddibe McDowell. Remember Chris Berman's nickname? You do. Oddibe Young Again McDowell, shown here in his 85 Topps U.S. baseball team card. McDowell was a star coming out of school. People were excited. Picked first round by the Texas Rangers, and he never really got it off the ground. Finished fourth in the Rookie of the Year award. Went from Texas to Cleveland to Atlanta from 85 to 94, including playing in the minors 91, 92, and 93. Coming out, he had some power. Coming out, he definitely had some speed. Coming out, he definitely had range in the outfield. But unfortunately, he did not have any kind of arm in the outfield. He was a decent player. 74 home runs in his career. Stole about 170 bases, better than average, but closer to average then better. Second guy I want to show you, this guy about to bring up on the screen, shortstop, third baseman, first baseman, outfielder, Corey Snyder. Corey Snyder has like a baseball player name, Corey Snyder. Did you know that Corey Snyder, in his first 3 at-bats as a freshman at BYU, at-bat number 1, hits a home run. At-bat number 2, hits a home run. At-bat number 3, Corey Snyder goes deep with a home run. His first 3 at-bats at BYU, hits it out of the ballpark. He was supposed to be a star, picked in the first round, 4th overall by Cleveland, right? Infielder, outfielder, hit for power, had a cannon for an arm, which is why they moved him from short eventually to right field. Didn't really happen for him. Another one of those guys, right? I'm going to show you a cover from 1987. I bet you remember this. 1987, in fact, I featured this very early on. 87, Indian Uprising, Cleveland picked to win it all by Sports Illustrated. That's Joe Carter, who was highlighted in the last episode, coming over from the Cubs to the Indians. And there he is, his teammate and fellow outfitter, Corey Snyder. Indian Uprising predicted to win it all. SI cover jinx. The Indians were in last place from opening day until the end of the year. Man, Corey Snyder, .7 career WAR. Didn't ever really work out for him. One more guy to show you. Last one of the 3 I want to raise up. This guy, right-handed pitcher, starting pitcher, Billy Swift. Probably had the best career of any pitcher on that Olympic team. Played for 13 years after being drafted by the Maine Black Bears. Pitched every year in the College World Series, was drafted out of Maine as a Black Bear by the Seattle Mariners. Later played for the Giants and played for Colorado. Comes over in the Kevin Mitchell trade from Seattle to San Francisco. Giants said Mitch and Dave Burba. It's what's in my brain. Mitch and Dave Burba over to Seattle. In return, they got Billy Swift. Billy Swift balled 1992. Leads the National League in ERA, only wins 10 games, but the Giants themselves weren't that good. Goes, I believe, 10-8 with a 2.06 ERA. 1993, when the Giants win 103 games, he wins 20 in the show. He can have fungus on his shower shoes, Crash. He and John Burkett, 2 20-game winners. That season ends up going 21-8, finishes second in the Cy Young Award, just behind pitcher, of course, Greg Maddux, man. God, Maddux was a beast. Billy Swift, pretty good, though. Kind of sent him off to the gulag, trading him to Colorado, where pitchers go to die. We're coming back from commercial. We're in the 7th inning stretch now. The origins of the 7th inning stretch are a little bit debatable. There's something mythical about them. There are instances of people talking about everybody getting up and stretching across the latter quarter of the 19th century. But really the popular story is 1910 opening day. The 350-pound portly President William Howard Taft stood up to stretch his legs after 6.5. And as he stood up, out of respect, the entire stadium stood up thinking he was about to depart from the game. Opening day 1910 may very well be the birth of the 7th inning stretch. What's the song we sing? This I do know. Universally, would you say universally? Would you agree that we sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game? I did not know that Harry Carey gets the credit. I figured that must be older. The song is much older. The song is actually written by people who'd never been to a ball game. But Harry Carey popularized it as a 7th inning stretch tradition. And I love that Harry Carey gets credit for Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Bottom half of the 7th inning. Oh, I forgot. I got to grab 2 cards. Bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves. Well, if you're still with me after that dead air, you really are a fan, and I thank you so very much. Bottom half of the seventh inning, we've got some changes, of course, as some of the subs started to enter the game. This guy, Buddy Bell, representing the Texas Rangers, shown here on his 84 Topps card. Buddy Bell is one of the forgotten, very good Hall of Fame players. Check this out. Bell played from 1972, 1989, 18 years in the show. Outstanding third baseman. One of 6 combo grandfather, father, sons to play in MLB. Gus, the father, Cincinnati Reds. Buddy, the son. And then, of course, we've got 2. We've got not just David Bell, but Mike Bell, grandfather, father, and son. Only happened 6 times in MLB history. Bell had a great career, right? Cleveland, Texas, Cincinnati, overall a 66.4 WAR. He's a 5-time All-Star game, 1973, 80, 81, 82, 84, a 6-time Gold Glove Award winner, 79 through 84, OPS plus of 109 plus, an above average hitter. Also managed for 9 seasons, managed Detroit, Colorado, Kansas City, less successful, 418 overall winning percentage as a skipper. But Bell was just one of those guys who was rock solid and unfortunately was not George Brett. He is the dominant third baseman of his time, if there was no George Brett. So he's the second most dominant AL third baseman. Nevertheless, had an amazing career, takes over at third base. Here is something I'm about to share with you that I will confess is absolutely, positively, and perhaps irredeemably gratuitous on my part. But you know what? I'm going to do it anyway, and I invite you to come along. Buddy Bell, playing for Cleveland, 1970s, in the 1973 season in June of that year, welcomes a new teammate traded from the New York Yankees. Who was it? Pitcher, left-hander Mike Kekich. Why was Mike Kekich traded from the New York Yankees to the Cleveland Indians? Well, you might already know this story, but it's one of my favorite stories in all of baseball history. You see, in 1972, in the summer of 1972, pitcher Mike Kekich and teammate pitcher Fritz Peterson didn't swap wives. They swapped lives. They traded wives. They traded children. They traded their pets. They traded their homes. They traded their entire lives one for the other. I will put a link in the show notes. There's a YouTube show called Pablo Torre Finds Out. I believe it's connected to Barstool Media. He does a half-hour deep dive that is a ton of fun. But let me tell you what happened. So Kekich and Peterson were buddies. Peterson, much better pitcher, 120 in the show, had been an all-star. Kekich, not so good. They were friends. It's the 70s. They're both kind of lefties, and Kekich really had sort of embraced the zany lefty persona. They're invited by a New York sports writer out to New Jersey for a barbecue. Afterwards, the two couples, they go to a diner together. And as they're going, Peterson and Kekich, they say, well, the wives, why don't you ride with each other, take turns, get to know each other. They go to a diner. They've been drinking at the barbecue at the writer's house. They keep eating and drinking at the diner. And Kekich and Peterson's wife, whose name is Marilyn, they kind of start to feel a vibe for each other. And Fritz Peterson and Kekich's wife, whose name is Suzanne, they're also kind of feeling a little bit of a vibe. And they get together again the next night. And pretty soon, they sort of are starting to fall in love with each other's spouses. And so in 72, they kind of make an agreement to switch. Now, the intense feelings, be honest, was more Mike Kekich than Fritz Peterson, and more Suzanne Peterson than Marilyn Kekich. They They've been partying, they're dating, they sort of start switching families. Kekich and Marilyn Peterson, they initiate. The other ones go along with it, but here's the thing. Pretty soon thereafter, 6 months, less than a year, they realize that actually that Mike Kekich and Peterson's wife, Suzanne, this gets confusing, right? They're not super compatible. But Fritz Peterson and Suzanne Kekich, they kind of start to really fall in love for each other. They end up getting married. They're together for 50 years until Peterson actually dies not that long ago. I bet you can hear my dog barking like crazy. Oh my God. I'm just going to keep going. 1973, they make an announcement. They think it's not going to be a big deal. It's a swinging 70s. Everything goes. It's a huge deal. New York is like, this is a problem. Kekich and Peterson's wife, Marilyn, they're on the rocks. Kekich gets traded away. And he's actually out of MLB by the next season. He plays in Japan. He plays in Venezuela. He actually bounces back just for a minute. He's an original Seattle Mariner in 1977. But Fritz Peterson and Suzanne, their marriage lasts a lifetime. So Buddy Bell is a teammate of Kekich. The next season, Kekich is gone. I guess the Yankees decided, you know what? We're going to get rid of Peterson too. They trade him also to Cleveland. So Buddy Bell in 73 and in 74 is a teammate of Mike Kekich and Fritz Peterson. I got them both for you here together in better times. 1972 tops. That's Mike Kekich on the left, Fritz Peterson on the right. Again, I'll drop the Pablo Torre deep dive into this life swap between Kekich and Peterson. You don't know what you might get from me. Taking over for the American League in the bottom half of the seventh is this guy. Here on his 1984 Topps traded card is right-hander Bill Cottle. This was the high point of Cottle's career, and taking over in the seventh, bounced around Chicago, Seattle, a little bit with Toronto. This is the high point. 36 saves this season for a sort of woebegone A's franchise, but he comes in and he's dealing. Facing Timmy Raines, strikes out Raines on a high fastball. That brings up Ryne Sandberg. One more trip to the plate. Sandberg's playing the whole game, it looks like. Cottle strikes him out. Two up, two down, 2 Ks. Camera flashes. We've got the right-hander Boddicker and the left-hander Willie Hernandez warming up in the pen. And up steps, 2 out, nobody on, a left-hander Keith Hernandez, recently acquired from the St. Louis Cardinals. Hernandez was awesome. Native son from Pacifica, where the sun never shines. 60.3 WAR across 17 seasons with the Cards and Mets. And that's one season at the very end with the Cleveland Indians. Think about this. 2,000 hits in his career. 2 times Hernandez won the Silver Slugger. 2 times won a World Series. 82 with the Cards, 86 with the Mets. 5 times Hernandez was an All-Star. 11 times he was a Gold Glove. Won that MVP, actually a co-MVP with Willie Stargell, 1979. And listen, it was an amazing run for Pops. We are family. And yes, he did have more home runs than Hernandez, but check this out. Hernandez scored 116 runs. Willie Stargell only scored 60. Hernandez hit 344. Stargell, 281. Hernandez drove in 105. Stargell, 82. But not to be Stargell fan favorite. It's a dead heat tie, co-MVP, 1979. Keith Hernandez and Willie Stargell. And just as Raines had done, just as Rhino had done, Cottle quickly gets ahead of Hernandez. No balls and 2 strikes. 0-2. Hits a bouncer foul up the third base line. Lasorda up with it. Makes a nice little pickup. And of course, what does Candlestick start doing? Ooh, Raines start boos start raining down. And then, sort of apropos of nothing, Howard brings up this story from 1973 when Lasorda was still a coach under manager Walter Alston, coming out to home plate to deliver the lineup card. Out for the Giants comes manager Charlie Fox, and one thing leads to another, and they start raining blows down on each other before a game in 1973. Lasorda, the coach, fighting Giants manager Charlie Fox, changing lineup cards. So I did a little dive into this, like, what the heck's going on? So it turns out that there was bad blood. They had been managing in the Winter League down in the Dominican Republic, and they had their pitchers throwing at each other. One guy threw inside, other guy threw at a guy's head, back and forth. And then they brought the fight from the DR back to Candlestick. Turns out the night before, Giants pitcher Elias Sosa threw at one of the heads of the Dodgers. So Lasorda came out. He was carrying this bad blood from the DR. He sees Elias Sosa throwing at one of his guys' heads, and he goes after he and Charlie Fox. Nothing sadder than middle-aged men in a brawl. Oh, I got a couple of Charlie Fox cards to show you. I've been holding these for a long time. 1972 and 1973. Look at this guy, Charlie Fox. Not so successful. Not a great time in Giants fandom. All right, Hernandez down 0-2. Cottle kicks and delivers and strikes out. Hernandez strikes out the side. 3 up and 3 down. Whew. We're moving right along. We're heading to the 8th. All right, what do we do today? Well, I shared a card with you that can get me killed. 1924 Ogden's Leaders of Men card of Muhammad in a strict anti-iconism society. This could be detrimental to my health. We moved on to the 84 Olympics. Just showed a few cards because I wanted to talk about to be young again, McDowell. I wanted to talk about Corey Snyder and Billy Swift. What else did we do? We talked about the life swap, Fritz Peterson and Mike Kekich, 72, 73, and how they both were teammates of very good Hall of Famer Buddy Bell, the best AL third baseman of his generation, not named George Brett. Bill Cottle came in, struck out Rain, struck out Sandberg, talked about a Fox and Lasorda fight, and then Cottle struck out Hernandez, and we are going to wrap it up for now. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you being a part of this. You could be doing like anything. And I'm pretty sure you have many more things that are probably like enrich your life in greater ways. You could read a book. You could play with your kids. But instead, you chose to be here with me, and I'm honored, and I hope I have valued your time as it deserves to be. Until we meet again, thank you so much for tuning in, and may you be blessed, and may you enjoy health and long life. So long for now.